It was at the top of my wish list. I wanted to see polar bears in the wild. One of the best places to see polar bears is in Churchill, Manitoba. Martha Stewart did a show here. Al Roker came here for NBC. John McCain had his polar bear moment here several years before he ran for president. Churchill, Manitoba is known as the polar bear capital of the world. Polar bears congregate along the western shore of Hudson Bay. When the bay freezes over, the polar bears move out onto the ice where they hunt seal. Though they eat anything and will snack on birds or whatever is available, seals are the main food for polar bears. Seal meat is the only food that provides enough calories. Polar bears weigh from 1,100 to 1,300 pounds. That takes a lot of seal meat. When the winter ice melts, the polar bears ride the ice floes to the southern shore of the bay. When winter approaches, the polar bears trek back to the western shore of Hudson Bay, where they wait again for the winter ice. This is the largest concentration of polar bears in the world. I visited Churchill in October, which is considered one of the best times to see the most polar bears hanging out. The polar bears are hungry and at their thinnest weight. They also have to conserve energy. They rest a lot and take a lot of breaks. Most people who go to Churchill ride on tundra buggies out to see the polar bears. Tundra buggies are big buses high enough off the ground to keep polar bears from climbing in the windows. The enormous tires are meant to minimize the impact on the fragile tundra. In theory, the tundra buggies travel only on designated routes, which are actually old trails. The guides do a good job of spotting the bears, then they stop the buggy. Everyone gathers at the windows or on the rear platform. The bears often approach the buggies and, seemingly on cue, circle the vehicle. Sometimes they jump up. We were told that the bears are naturally curious. But just days away from the end of a long summer fast, they are really hungry. If the formation of ice is late, some of these bears are actually threatened. They need seal meat, and they need it soon. Though feeding the bears is illegal, I wondered, do they associate the buggies with food? If so, has someone been feeding them? We were also told that the bears need to conserve energy. They stop and rest often. So, how is it that they have enough energy to travel, sometimes a long distance, to get to the buggies and jump up? The tourist season in Churchill is a booming business. The expeditions caution that they can't promise you will see bears, but they really want to deliver. The tourist economy is dependent on happy tourists going home with great photos. Polar bears are fast to learn that human settlements are a source of food, and they have exquisite memories. During their hungry season, if they find one treat in a garbage can, they will come back to that same can every night until they are chased out of town or captured. A representative from Polar Bears International said that the bears are not baited, but approach the buggies out of curiosity. This behavior isn't reinforced by feeding them because it's illegal. However, the Polar Bear Specialist Group of the International Union for Conservation of Nature expresses concern about baiting. Photographers are notorious for wanting the full-frame photograph, and to obtain this, some resort to baiting polar bears or following them from snowmobiles. In one situation, a film crew followed a female polar bear with a newborn cub for weeks and were surprised that she had not yet killed a seal. It was likely that the persistent harassment affected her hunting success. Some tour operators have baited polar bears into tourist vehicles so passengers can see and photograph the bears close up. Such situations can cause problems when mothers with young venture into areas that they would normally avoid. Specifically, areas with lots of other bears that may kill their young. Juvenile polar bears have been killed by adult males when their mothers have been baited into tourist vehicles. Given the relative safety of approaching a polar bear from vehicles of all sorts, it's common for people to approach to get a better look. The impact of this type of harassment is unknown. However, in one case, a mother was chased so long that she was separated from her cub that was caught and photographed. At the very least, should we be asking ourselves how our riding around on these enormous vehicles to look at and photograph the polar bears might be altering their behavior and their lives?
Come and smell. There's a cold ocean smell right there.
This young polar bear was alarmed by the noise of an approaching tundra buggy.